Welcome to America is Calling. I'm Chuck Norman. Whoever says you can't go home is not from the South. Please join me as I sit down with a man that I met some 35 years ago. 33 years ago, we were standing together taking a photo for our high school yearbook picture at Osborne High School. We both graduated in 1992. Fast forward 33 years, and 6 weeks ago, Scott walked out of a federal penitentiary. Please join me as he will tell you all about his life before prison, during prison, and meeting his lovely wife, Charlie. You can also visit them on TikTok at The Scott Powells. Please stick around, and if you like what you see, please like, comment, and subscribe. Remember, any of your comments that you have directly for them, I will send to them, and they will be pleased to answer them. Here we go. So, man, it is so good to see you, man. It's been 32 years.
32 long years, brother.
Yeah. So you were just telling me out of high school, which was the last time we saw each other.
Right.
Where did you go? What did you do out of high school? You mentioned DeKalb College.
Right.
Would you believe that they wouldn't let me in to DeKalb College?
For real?
Because I wasn't going to get my shots. I didn't have the grades, number one, but I graduated with a 1.9 GPA. But they wouldn't let me in the DeKalb, and my dad still holds that over my head today.
Well, you know what? Our paths are set for certain reasons, brother, you know? So
yeah,
it is what it is. Look at you now. We're doing good, aren't we? We're doing good.
I'm surrounded by wonderful people.
Yeah,
well,
finally, me too.
Well,
focused. You know, I don't know how I got straight off. You know, my family was in the Bible, sent me to private school. Actually, I would get mad because Dad, he would drive a piece of junk. And I would be like, stop sending me to private school and get yourself a car. You're the one that works and you provide for the family. You know, it kind of made me mad. But then, you know, they got divorced. He messed around on her, and she forgave him the first time. And then we found out the second time. So it just, you know, all hell broke loose right there. And Mom's never recovered really. She's never really been the same. Actually, we're in town to surprise her this weekend.
Wow.
She has no idea that I'm here because I told her I couldn't get approved to travel yet. So my federal probation officer, he approved me to travel, so that was cool. Had little problems with my state PO a little bit because she's lazy, but I mean, who's going to complain about a PO that doesn't hound you? Certainly not me.
Right, right.
Yeah. After that, man, it was rough because they were teaching at church on precept courses on marriage, man. So it was like, for real? Like, you're teaching marriage and you're out doing that? And I didn't talk to my father for 5 years, but now we're best friends, you know. So, you know, life is funny, man. Life is tricky, and if you don't, you know, I'm in tune with my faith now, so we'll get to that. But after school, I went to DeKalb technical for 2 or 3 semesters. You know, met a guy. We started taking acid together, going to class laughing, couldn't stop laughing. Teacher's like, could y'all just please stop laughing? And we're like, no, we can't. So it just didn't work. And so then I went to work at the Air Gas over there in Mableton. And I was there 2 years. You know, got frustrated because they promoted outside the company instead of inside the company. I didn't agree with that, and I didn't want to work for a company like that, you know. At the time, I felt like I was doing more than one person's job, you know. I felt like I deserved it. You know, who's to say we deserve whatever, you know?
Sure.
When you're growing up, like, you know, I think you definitely don't know anything, and then you hit puberty, and then you start the then you start hitting rebellion,
Mhm.
and then you're like, and then I got into sports, so that consumed my life, you know. And then I got kicked out of a couple private schools, and then we ended up at Osborne together. So, and now we're here 32 years
Yeah.
later. So,
Yeah.
but what's cool, and I don't mean to jump ahead, but
No, you do what you need to, brother.
everybody that I'm reconnecting with, man, we all have one thing in common, and it's God, man.
Yeah.
Like, it's just, you know, I think the gifts that He's given me are teaching, speaking, and I have a heart for younger kids, and I'd love to just help them steer them in the right directions because I don't have any, you know. But I went to Aerogas, did that 2 years, and then I met a guy who was friends with my brother, and my brother worked at Delta, and this guy worked for Delta, and I started mowing lawns, man. I was a grunt, you know, weed eating, mowing lawns, spreading pine straw,
Man stuff.
sweating to death, stuff I won't do now
Right.
at all. And you know, after 3 years, I moved up to, you know, installation project manager, and then you know, I seen him working on some architectural plans, placing some bids for really for some residential stuff. But then I'm like, you know what? I see all the landscaping going on in Atlanta. I'm like, bro, I can get you the work. Just let me go do it.
Yeah.
And so he's like, all right, go do it. So, you know, the internet hadn't been out long, you know, I get on there and I mean, we're waiting forever. You know how it's ringing. We're waiting to get on for hours. I get on and I start finding some places. And then I told you I found F.W. Dodge over off Ashford Dunwoody and went there and seen what they offered. And it was just a big room of architectural plans. And the plans with scopes were made for me. So I just had to go in, take them out, copy, bring them back. Or I could just copy down what it was. Generally, I would get the copies because there's square footage of pine straw areas, you know, grassing areas, stuff like that. But it would literally go in and say that they needed 200, 2.5-inch red maples. They'd need like 1,000 azalea, 3-gallon, whatever. So me and the accountant, because he was still small at the time, probably like eight or nine of us. And, you know, by the time I left him, he had 27. He had a nice shop, had all the trucks, all the equipment. But I ended up getting the first job for him, which ended up being like $330,000. And it took us a while to get competitive in our bids because I had to make the bid out and send it to every GC that was bidding that particular job. And the F.W. Dodge is a place where you walked in on the wall, there is just, you know, regular pieces of paper, say 20, 30 of them, and it said every job with their value, and they were all $1 million, multi-million-dollar jobs connecting Georgia, Florida, South Carolina, Alabama, Tennessee. So we had the opportunity to get to it, you know. So in the end, I kind of think I might have screwed him up a little bit because he jumped into some bigger things, you know. And then he ended up in a smaller business. What I've learned is you have to delegate authority, man. You can't be the CEO and the accountant and the estimator and the project manager. You can't be all that.
Yeah, you have to be for a certain amount of time.
Right.
But once that growth kicks off, you got to decide: do I want to be a worker or do I want to be an owner?
That's right.
You know.
And I get trying to, you know, hang on, and it's hard because, you know, later on we'll talk about me too. I learned my lesson in who I hired to help me remodel my first home that I bought and stuff like that. I learned my lesson. You don't hire your friends. You know, God's been cultivating me since I was young, man. I don't want to get off the subject, but when I was 11, I was going to Mount Perrin Christian School in Marietta, and you know, we lived like 45 minutes away from there. So one week my mom would drive me and this other girl who lived 5 minutes down past the covered bridge, and the next week her mother would drive us. So they alternated weeks. Well, this one morning she said, "Scott, I had a vision about you last night. She said, God is going to do great things in your life. She's like, you're going to be a pastor. And at 11 years old, like I said earlier, I don't think you really comprehend anything. You still have that naiveness, that innocence. You're still, you don't know what you're doing at 11. If you do, you're some type of genius.
Yeah.
Or you have super direction around you. And, you know, I didn't pay attention to that. And so 4 years later, I'm in church, and I'm in my youth group, and the youth pastor, Emery Brown, he pulls me to the side and says the exact same words to me. And I still didn't comprehend it. I'm 15. I'm into sports. I'm into rebellion. Just found out my parents are having issues. And, you know, being forced to go to a private school, forced to go to church Sunday morning, Sunday night, Wednesday night, Halloween. There was no celebrating anything. It caused resentment for me, because what I've learned later in life is you can't shove stuff down people's throat. They're going to turn away from you.
No.
I'm thankful for it now, more than anything. And one of our TikTok followers the other day commented, and I'm jumping around, but she was like, I've been doing a morning devotion on there. And one of them was like, well, how does a man go to prison for 20 years and he's godly all of a sudden? And in Proverbs, it says, if you teach your child when they're young, then they'll come back to it when they're old. Mm. So that verse has a lot of meaning to it, because you ground your kids in something solid. And if we know anything, Jesus Christ and is the most solid thing we can ground ourselves in. Oh. And God's got an ultimate plan and design for each of us. And like I said, I'm not here to just preach, but my story continues with, it also says there's a gap in there. What happens when you're a child? And then what about the middle part of that verse? You come back. So it basically, it tells us you're going to walk away from it, because you've got to grow up. 11 to, for me, 40. I had to grow up. Yeah. And we all have to grow up. So I'm going to fast forward and we'll backtrack, but I'm 27 years old now at the time. Now, I've got into the meth game, and I don't like to talk about it, because I don't condone it. I'm not proud of anything that I did, but I was doing very well. And so at this time, this particular night, it was late, like 4:35 in the morning. And we left this club downtown, Midtown, and we went up to...
In Atlanta, right?
In Atlanta.
Okay.
And we went up to this other club called Club Anytime. Mm. And I ended up parking in the parking lot right on the road, and Club Anytime is down here. And my right-hand man is with me, who I went and had lunch with today, who would not mess with me when I asked him to tell him that I need him to get back in the game. He was smart enough not to, begged me not to, actually said, bro, please don't do this. And so I'm like, look, I'll be right back. So I get out the car. I take my pack of cigarettes with me. I walk down the road. And as I'm walking down the road, it's winter, it's December, it's cold. This guy comes walking, and we were going to intersect. Period. He had a white comforter wrapped around him. Like brand new, man. Like he just bought it from Sears, JCPenney or something. You know, like it didn't look right. Like you're homeless.
Right.
And the first thing he said was, hey man, you got a cigarette? So I'm like, yeah. And me, if he asked me for some money that night, he probably would have got blessed. But he asked me for cigarettes, so I didn't want to give him one, so I gave him 2.
Sure.
The crazy thing is I had 5 more after that, 7. And that's a very, very important number. And I gave him the cigarettes, and he said, you know what? I walked 8 miles to tell you this tonight. I said, yeah, what's that? He said, your mom is at home on her knees crying and praying for you right now. And I said, man, that's not what I want to hear, man. I'm not trying to hear that, bro. Because I knew she was. Like, I knew she was, bro. Because that's what she's done for me my whole life. She's done nothing but pray for me. And we know how the prayer of a righteous man availeth much. And she is that righteous woman. She is the only one I know that has stuck to her faith, regardless of all the mud that she's been in.
Right.
And he said, I also walked 8 miles to tell you this. He said, you're going to be a pastor. Now that stopped me in my tracks. I just remember freezing, like looking around like, wow, 11, 15, now 12 years later. Kind of freaked me out. And then he said, can I pray for you? I'm like, the club's like, I don't know, a block and a half away. I got a Glock 17 on me, man. I got probably $10,000 on me. I'm juiced up on multiple drugs, multiple shots of liquor, multiple mixed drinks. Just driving around Atlanta like I'm sober. And I said, yeah, you can pray for me, bro. I'm never going to turn down prayer.
Amen.
So he grabbed me, and he starts praying for me. And I've never experienced spiritual warfare like I did this night, because I heard voices. And I don't even want to say the language that I heard.
Sure.
But basically it was like, what the F are you doing? Get the F away from this dude. Go get this F&P.
Yeah.
What are you doing? Stop. Break away from this dude. This is not what you want to hear. And I don't know what he was praying, but he knew it, and he squeezed my arm, and he pulled me in. And I get chills every time I tell
I'm
the
getting it
story,
right now.
bro.
I mean, it's all over my body.
The spirit is real.
Yeah.
And he was there. Like, my whole head's chilled. Like, and when he said amen and released his hand off of me, this guy comes walking behind him. And I catch eyes with him. And he goes behind his head. And I look. And then his eyes come out the other side of the head. And I look at him. And he looks at me. And he says, do you want some X pills? Now, I didn't need nothing. And he was just trying to sell drugs.
Sure.
But to me, we know when God's trying to get at you, and God wants you more than anything, he wants to get at you more than anything, who's going to be there? The devil.
Absolutely.
So in my mind, I'm like, oh my gosh, man, like, is this, who are you? And is this the devil? Is this God? Is this an angel? What's going on? Because it happened. And it freaked me out. And then he turned around and said, hey, man, can I have another cigarette? I lost track of him. And then I'm like,
Now, as it's going on, are you realizing this in your head that this is, or was this on hindsight that you're thinking that was God and the devil?
no.
So
right
as it's
there
playing,
at this moment,
okay,
I'm freaking out.
right.
I forget where I'm going. The club becomes irrelevant in my mind. I forget. I'm like, what in the world is going on? It's 5:30 in the morning, bro, on Peachtree Street. So he said, can I have another cigarette? So I opened it up. There's 5. You know what? I just give it to him. That's 7. 7 means completion. I'll get more on 7 later. And I go back to the car, bro. I get in the car. I grab me another pack of cigarettes. I don't smoke anymore, but, well, I picked up a bad habit. But I'm sitting there with my right-hand man. I don't even know what to say to him. I'm just in shock, you know? And he's like, bro, you know, what's wrong? What's going on here? And I'm like, man, I was looking crazy, shaking my head. Like, I don't even want to tell him, man, because really I really didn't know where he was with all that. And so I told him. And as soon as I start telling him, the guy in the white comforter goes across Peachtree Street. And I'm like, look, bro, that's the Jesus dude. He's looking at me crazy. I'm like, he's like, what? I'm like, that's the Jesus dude who walked up to me and said everything I just said. I broke it down to him. And then all of a sudden, the devil dude comes out of nowhere. And he's walking behind these three dudes. And he's talking junk. The window's down. I hear him. Just bad stuff. Just dogging him out. And so they go on and he goes out of sight. I go back to look at the Jesus dude who's going south down Peachtree. And I'm not saying he disappeared, brother. I'm not saying that. But I definitely lost view of him. Like, you know, where'd you go? And so I'm freaked out still. And I'm sitting there. I don't know what to do. Like, I didn't want to crank the car. I didn't want to leave. I didn't want to drive. I was just in some type of shock. Thinking about my mom. Thinking about, what am I doing? I'm in the game deep. I'm going in and out of town. That's how I did it. My hub was Atlanta. I never dealt in Atlanta. It was always other states. And so the devil dude comes back. And he just looks over. And I know he doesn't know it's me. He just sees another person.
Sure.
So he cuts down at me. I let him see my pistol. I'm like, you know, what's up? And he's like, do you want some X pills again? I'm like, bro, you just asked me. I don't want no X pills. I'm good. I said, but tell me this. Were you just talking junk to those dudes? And he's like, yeah. And I said, well, why didn't you pop a cap in their butt? I didn't say that, but I said that.
Sure.
And he's like, oh, he lifted up his shirt, showed me his pistol, and he said, oh, I coulda. He goes, but I used these. And he was dented up. He was chafed up, bro. He just robbed these guys. Mm. So I'm freaked out even more, not because of him, just because of what was going on. So I'm sitting there, and I tell the dude what I tell him, and then he peels off. So, you know, I sit there probably another 5 minutes and realize I need to go. I leave the Brazilian women in the club. I don't go meet them, and I go home. But that didn't stop me. That don't stop me, man. You know, next, I was growing marijuana too. I had a place out on Fontaine, 5 acres, and I was growing 10 pounds at a time. So I go out to the growing the marijuana, and as peaceful as that was, I used to always say when I first went to prison was like, man, if I never would have stopped growing marijuana, I wouldn't be here. That's just the devil, man. You know what? God was going to sit my butt down because I heard him. I heard myself, my subconscious. And I was at a time locked up where I was pure, brother. I wasn't sinning. I was in the Word. I started out 5 minutes a day, and it got to 2 or 3 hours. I couldn't get enough. And your walk is going to be like this. It's going to be like that, period. But the thing we don't realize is God is forgiving. We can't let the devil sit there and say, you can't never do it right. You'll never be perfect. And if you're a perfectionist, that's a hard pill to swallow.
Sure is.
So I dealt with that, and I remember praying and asking for my gifts. And I was raised in the Church of God, so I experienced speaking in tongues, and I know that freaks some people out. But if you're not aware of what it is, then of course it's going to freak you out.
Sure.
But what it is it's God's Spirit lined up and linked up with your spirit. Because that's what we are. This is a shell. We're in a shell. We have a soul and a spirit. And that's what lives on. That's what this whole walk with God thing and immortality, you can't fathom it, but that's what he's asking us. You have to have faith in what I'm saying. Now for me, later on down the road, it was the prophecies. I needed to hear the history. I needed to hear that because I'm that type of dude where I need some facts.
Sure. Sure.
And when you're a free will spirit, which we all are, because that's what he gives us, and I asked for the gift of tongues because I heard my parents do it. I've heard the church do it. And there was one time when I was sitting in church and I really paid attention, and it happened. And then the explanation came. You have one do it, and then you have one explain what was said. The words in that church, you think we got chills a minute ago. I was like, wow. No one could pray that prayer.
Yeah.
That was just explained to me from this person's speaking in tongues. And here's the kicker. There's 2 times I heard my subconscious, which I truly believe it was God speaking to me through that. And I know this because I wouldn't tell myself these things. The first time was, he said, if you don't stop doing what you're doing, he goes, I'm going to put you back in prison. And you're going to study my word, and you're going to learn about me, and you're going to talk to others about me. And I'm like, where did I hear that? Where did that come from?
And this is when you're in, or
I'm
before?
in.
Okay.
I'm in on my first bid, okay?
Okay.
And
Oh, this is going to get more. I had no idea that was.
it was 2, yeah.
Okay. Okay. All right.
8 and 13, so. And lo and behold, it happened. I didn't take heed. I didn't listen. And sure enough, he federaled me,
So
And
the first time wasn't federal.
no, state.
Okay. It was state. Okay.
Cobb County.
Okay.
Aggravated assaults.
What year was that?
2003.
Okay. My dad had left the DA's office by then.
And it's a bad deal. A little bit quickness about it is I had caught a possession charge, was out on bond, signed the bond. I shouldn't have a pistol. I pull up Uncle Bob's storage over in Mableton, and my ex and 2 people are robbing my storage unit. So I freak out, and when they see me, they pull out, and me and another guy pull out, and I'm walking down like Crockett and Tubbs from Miami Vice, waiting on them to come around. You know what I'm saying? And when they come around, I seen like he went for some, so I backed up in the cut. I lay down, and I'm looking, and I'm like, I know her. I'm like, I'm about to double tap 3 people. I don't even know these people. And I hear life just be like, and I'm like, and I look over at my homie. He's on the other side of the Mustang. He's like this on the other side. And I look above him, and there's a camera looking at me. And I'm like, hey, let him go. Let him go. So they go. That killed me, because the incident before, and we'll get to that too, because I got shot. There's so much to talk about. So let me go back to where the second time I heard him speak to me. All right, so it's the same bid. Later on in life, when Mom came to visitation, She said, I'm positive I was praying for you that night.
Okay.
I know she was. But the second time I heard my subconscious speak to me, I'm asking for the gift of tongues. Like I said, I don't want to freak nobody out. If we edit this, we edit. It's fine.
Tis what it is, brother.
And the thing about it is, everybody's walk is individual and personal. This is how I was raised, and I've seen it, heard it, and believe it. So to me, I'm on my bed, and I'm like, I got tears coming out of my eyes. And I'm on the top bunk, and I'm like, God, please give me the gift of tongues. And I hear like, no. I'm like, why? I'm pure. I haven't sinned in weeks. I'm in your word every day. If a divine appointment happens, it happens. I'm not turning away. And he's like, I'm not giving you that because you still doubt. Because you're asking for me to show you something else. I've already showed you enough. You gotta believe. So I didn't get it. I did not receive that. And I've learned that the gifts he gave me to accept. Like he said, when I told you I heard him say, you're going to learn my word. Well, it's funny how they put me in federal prison, then I got stuck in the shoe for a year and a half. And guess what? The only book I had was? It was the Bible. And we'll get to federal prison. But it all ties in, bro. I mean, it's just my testimony, man. And I have issues. I am not right in several areas of my life. You know, you say, well, why aren't you a pastor? Because in Timothy it says you have to be this and that, and you got to be ready. Well, if I still get mad, I'm not ready. I can't handle it. I'm still areas in my life I'm growing. I'm 6 weeks out, man. After 20 years of 21, 11 months and 2 weeks is all I've had out. But I'm not going back.
Amen.
My federal PO yesterday, it was kind of cool because he had this thing. I had to go see him, and he lifted up this computer and he told me, well, we did an evaluation on you, and we're trying to figure out whether you're a high, a medium, a moderate, or a low. And I'm just waiting on him to say high, you know.
Yeah.
You're high risk. And when he turns it over, it's stuck on moderate, and I don't think he's about to say that about me because the record looks bad. You can pull the record up. Cobb County racked me up with 19 charges just so they could stick one, you know?
Sure.
And then I had an attorney that made me believe I was pleading out to the one ag, and then when it was all said and done, I pled out to all 19 charges. That's why I did all the time. And so, you know, life is crazy, man. Like, my favorite verse it's in Hebrews, and he says, you know, God loves you so much that he's going to sit your butt down. He says, didn't your earthly father punish you? Didn't he chastise you? Didn't you not give your earthly father respect? Didn't you fear him, the belt? Didn't you fear? We grew up at a time where we got our butts slashed with switches, butt naked on the buns, legs, welts. Go pick your own switch.
Oh, yeah.
Belts from
Send you to school
Israel.
with stripes on you.
Right.
Stripes on your legs.
And it was no abuse.
No,
It was
absolutely
none
not.
of that.
Uh-uh.
It was none of that. And so that's the era we grew up in. And, you know, today's just crazy. Sorry if I jump around because there's so much on my mind. Like, I don't even know what all to talk about, bro. Like, there's just so much.
Well, let's if you don't mind me asking, I didn't know there was two different
Right.
tenants. So So what got you there the first time was the assault was from the storage unit?
No, listen. Okay, I got shot. Okay, I'm dating. I'm growing the marijuana out in this 5-acre facility.
And you're 27 still at this time, or
I'm 29.
okay?
All right, so the female that I was with, a dancer, I don't know how much I want to talk about that, but the thing about it is I went to do a deal at somebody's house, and I liked the little kid and his girlfriend, right? Well, we may have to edit this, whatever. I'm just going to tell you the story. So I liked the kid, right? Like, I didn't deal this kind of small weight, but somehow I hooked up with the kid through a young cute dude who messed with me or whatever. And I'm over there, and I serve him up, and he goes to the bathroom, and this girl corners me in the kitchen, and she tries to do something to me, right? So I go home with my right-hand man, and we're sitting up top, and I tell him about it. And lo and behold, my girl at the time had a laptop rolling, and it caught a recording of me saying what I said. And she couldn't hear what I said, but she heard the part that sparked her ears. This girl tried to do this to me, basically do this, blah, blah, blah. And so she flipped out. I didn't know she flipped out. I knew she was, I found the recording, and I was like, don't you ever record me, you know, it's a serious thing. Like, you can't find pictures of me from this time to this time. Right. It's none of that. So we go over to some friend's house, and I had to go somewhere, and my buddy calls me. He's like, come get your girl. I'm like, what's up, man? He's like, she done went to the store, bought this computer program. She's trying to raise the levels of volume to hear exactly what you said. And she's wigging out. She's high.
And she's never asked you about it?
Yeah, but girls don't believe you when they hear. I mean, I don't know your experience with women. How long you been married?
I've been married 28 years this year.
That's amazing. Congratulations, brother.
Blessed, man. I do not deserve anything that I have, man.
Super
I'm
blessed.
telling you.
And I don't right now either. 6 weeks out, I don't deserve what I have. I don't deserve it in my eyes. And so I go and pick her up. Well, we had kind of got into it the night before, and I went somewhere and left her there and had to do something, but we had also kind of had an altercation. So I go to my ex-girlfriend's just to chill out. And when I come back and finally pick her up, my buddy had switched cars with me, and lo and behold, he left his pistol in the car. So I pick her up. No, I'm sorry, let me back up. I pick her up, and she wants to argue with me. And I'm like, like you said, she didn't say nothing. We didn't talk about it. I'm like, I didn't do anything. This is what happened. This is what I said, right? So I'm like, you know what? I'm going to pull over. And I pulled over at the Cartel on South Cobb Drive, across from the U.Haul, right off of 285. And I said, go in and get a room. So she goes and gets a room. She comes back to the Tahoe, and I'm like, what room? I said, just give me a key. Going up there, I'll be there in a minute. Pfft, I'm gone. I'm not staying and arguing. I wasn't going to do it. So I go to my ex's, which was a mistake, but I did. And the girl was so pretty, bro. Like, I didn't want to leave her. Like, we ain't been together that long, but she was so pretty. Like, the prettiest are just nuts. They're crazy, right? So, well, I'll take that back. All of them are crazy if you're in this world, in that lifestyle that we're in. Because you can't be normal. You can't be normal on drugs, y'all. You can't be normal on drugs. You can say, oh, I was good and blah, blah, blah. Well, I made it to every delivery I ever did, but that doesn't mean I was good. It doesn't mean I was 100%, because you can't be. So My phone rings the next day, and it's my father. And Pearl Jam was my ringtone. I'll never forget it. Even flow wakes me up, and I'm like, "What's up, Dad?" And he's like, "Well, you know you left such and such over here." And I'm like, "Yeah." He's like, "Well, do you want me to go pick her up?" And I'm like, "No." I'm like, "Look, I'm really trying to break that off." I said, "But let me just go get her, right?" So I go get her. My buddy had switched out cars with me that night. No big deal. I trusted him like a brother. So I go pick her up. We start riding down the road, and somehow we get over to behind Fred's and Austell Road Cinema over there, right? And we're about 9 cars back. Never forget it, bro. For some reason, I got Tupac, Hail Mary playing on my CD player, right? And I look over, and she's got a pistol out. And I'm in a Tahoe, and she's not pointing it at me, but it's in front of me, and she's shaky, and she's like, where'd you go? I don't lie, brother. I went to my ex's. Did you sleep with her? I did. I absolutely did. I saw my opportunity to get out of this thing, right? And I'm like, and you need to put that gun down. And I didn't say it that nice. Put the gun down. There was a Cobb County cop out behind Fred's. I think he was probably looking at some deserted car, right? So I see him. I'm like 9 cars back from the light. She's got a pistol on me. Tupac's playing. I didn't feel like I could do nothing, but I got my hand on the steering wheel. So I'm just like, wham! And she pulls back, boom! Catches me.
I see the scar, yeah.
40 cal, hydro shot. Now,
Bro.
I'm like, I don't know that I'm in shock. I just see it. My heart's beating, and it's coming out like a water fountain. Blah, bloom, blah, bloom, blah, bloom. I'm like this much blood in a matter of just a second. Now, I'm looking at the cop. I got a lot of dope in the car put up behind in the air vent. It's a bad situation. I knocked the gun out. Now, you may not believe me. I try to grab this gun, and if I was to let off the brake, I would have hit the car in front of me. But I'm trying to grab this gun. I'm going to shoot her.
You're pumping blood.
I'm pumping blood.
Worried about the car in front of you.
Worried about the car in front of me. See the cop.
Trying to grab
the pistol I knocked out with my pistol right next to me. I'm just trying to grab this pistol, right? And I can't get it. I don't know. It's almost like I was hitting the brakes and it was going forward, bro. Like, I'm a believer, bro, so I believe in anything. You know what I'm saying? I'm not trying to put any cut on this because this is what happened to me, bro. My life has been wild. And so I'm probably going to shoot her. There was 9 shots. I knew 1 was gone. I'm probably going to unload 8. So she gets out the car. By the time I finally look up, what you think the cop's doing?
Probably drawn on you.
He heard the gunshot.
Yeah.
Freeze! I'm like, oh my gosh. Blah, 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 blah. Drugs. What in the world is going on? So I kick it and go through the light. And all I did is go out. I went to throw some stuff out the car. There's some personal stuff. I couldn't get to the other stuff. I didn't even care about the pistols, man. I wasn't a felon. I didn't care. So I just pulled over on Hurt Road. And so the cops, they finally show up, and they pull me out, and one of them just stomps on my hand right where I'm shot. And he's like, oh, he got blood all over him. He's like, oh, you better not have AIDS. And I'm like, well, I hope I do. And just says some stuff. Like,
Sure.
what are you stomping on me for, man? But when you run, you're guilty of something. So I get it. So little do I know, 29 years later, where do I end up? At Cobb General, right where I was born. and I'm in the emergency room, and my hand is hanging because every bone has been shattered by that hydroshock. And they have me in a towel, and they're holding it up, and these detectives are in there, and they're like, what happened? And I'm like, what do you mean? She shot me. All I hear the doctor say is, we might have to amputate his hand. So I'm in shock, bro. I'm in shock. Like thinking I'm about to lose my hand. These people question me, and I've been shot. Where's she? Go get her. She shot me. I come out of surgery. The doctor at that time they just come out with some new surgical thread, so he decided, to try to use it on me. So he went in there and tied my bones together with this super new surgical string. I've got 5% mobility.
Wow. Yeah.
I came out with 1, 2, 3, 4, 7, 8 rods, pins in a rod. I get locked. I'll come out of surgery and I'm cuffed to the bed in Cobb General. My mother, my father, and a cop. What's going on? Oh, you've been charged with aggravated assault, felony flee and elude, possession of a firearm during commission of a crime, possession of a stolen firearm. My homeboy's gun that he'd been carrying around like John Wayne for 2 years is hot.
It's hot. Wow.
So not only do I got to eat my own crow, I got to eat his crow. You know what I'm saying? Like, okay, so then there was the possession. I'm out on bond. Now this. Okay, so it takes me 90 days to get to Superior Court. During that 90 days, 8 weeks, it finally came off. They put me in a hard cast after that for 4 weeks. 12 weeks, it comes time for physical therapy. I can't even touch my fingers, bro. You know? So when I get to Superior Court, the judge reads the thing, and judges are smart. They really are, man. Mm-hmm. They're smart. Because thank God for him. What's his name? Krieger, Judge Krieger, I think, right?
Judge Krieger.
Right.
I remember Judge Krieger.
Okay.
Yeah.
So he's like, It says here that her statement says he had the gun in his left hand and was holding her down with his right hand. How does that happen? I got shot in my left hand. Huh. So with all the charges, he gave me like an $8,000 bond. I get out. Then the storage unit thing happens. Like, so I'm not supposed to be out with a gun. So they made this 3-part series into it. There's drugs involved, there's guns involved, there's domestic stuff going on. If something else happens, then we let him go. Someone's going to get hurt.
Sure.
They're probably right.
Logical thinking.
They're probably right. So when the storage thing happened, you know, I told him, let him go. Well, you know, I knew life was crazy right then. I even went back to the storage unit the next day, and I'm like, you know what? You got the videotape, I'll pay you for it. He's like, the cops already came and got it. And life started getting really crazy. And I can go back and we can talk about After Air Gas and ProCare, and then working for 5 builders and contractors, then opening my own company and buying a couple houses and remodeling. I lived a good life until I went to the dark world and I got involved with the meth.
Yeah.
And it's going to ruin your life if you get involved with it.
Yeah.
So, because of all the other serious charges of ags, you know, I'm like, are they going to do anything to me? Are they pursuing this? He's like, no, I had all that to worry about. So let's go to where I get out. I get out after the 8, right? So I'm doing good. I'm working at Metro Wheels on South Cobb Drive. I'm the same as I am now. I wouldn't do nothing wrong. But I'm a grunt. I'm cleaning dirty rims. I'm sandblasting rims. And the guy's claiming to be a believer, and this is part of his company, and after 9 days, I'm going to give you a raise. Now, I'm still this dude. Like, I didn't get caught for dealing, so I still feel like I'm the Jesus Christ of the meth game, for real.
Absolutely,
Like,
yeah.
you know, so I'm going back to it. For real, I'm going back, like, because I didn't learn my lesson. But I was stupid, you know what I'm saying? Like, all that stemmed from that. I didn't get caught dealing. They can't catch me dealing. So seven months in, I'm like, you know what? I call my right hand, the one I had lunch with. And I'm like, look, bro. I put out a calendar and I said, this is today. This is 6 months. $250,000. We'll stop the day we get there. Well, he looked at me and he said, please, Scott, I love you, brother. I love you. Please don't do this. I can't do it. He went to Georgia State, got him a little psychology degree, you know what I'm saying? He done got his life together. I don't blame him. I wasn't mad about him. So here's the thing. I already knew what I was going to do, and I already had my first connect, whatever. And so I had another guy in mind, and he's definitely not who I wanted. But I'm about to start going up and down the highways, and I need somebody else. So that's the guy who ended up biting me in the end. But I thank God for that.
Sure.
I thank God for that, because I don't have my wife. I don't have a grandson. I don't know that I get out and I have the struggles that I have, to know that there is a greater purpose. There's success at the end. There's success at the end. My wife, while I'm down, had created a TikTok account and she's got 40,000 fans. At the time, she had, I think, right around 28,000 fans when I got out. We've got 40,000 followers now. Excuse me, not fans, followers.
Sure.
I don't want people to get misconstrued. But regardless, I get in deep, man, and I'm just gonna jump around because she thinks this story is a good story, and it is from the perspective of how I dealt. So you couldn't just come to me, man, like, can I buy something from you? That wasn't happening.
Right, I know.
You know, so somebody knew me and they knew the person, and so I would check them out. I knew somebody who did some time. This one guy did some time. So I checked him out, made sure he was solid, and he just couldn't get what he needed. So I got hooked up. Let's just say I got hooked up pretty deep. On the wrong side of the border, basically, right? So I go to meet this guy, and I'm on my way to meet him, and I get a text, and it's like, be careful when you get up there, there might be somebody else up there. So I'm like, the person with me, I'm like, grab that phone. They grab the phone, I grab the phone. I'm like, who are you texting? Who are you talking to? So that person comes clean and tells me that that person is at the house that I'm meeting the other person. I'm like, there's not supposed to be nobody else there. So it's just bad off the mouth. So I call him. I'm like, who is this? And he says, what is his name? I was like, well, where's this other guy? And he's like, he's right here. I said, well, put him on the phone. I said, man, do you not know this is the luckiest day of your life, bro? What are you doing, bro? I said, I'm like 15 minutes from your ex. Matter of fact, call me back from your phone. So he calls me back. I said, what are you doing, bro? I said, matter of fact, I'm turning around. I said, who's at your house? And he said, this guy and his daughter. I said, well, how old's your daughter? He said, she's 15. I said, well, listen, I'm already up here, so I'm going to meet you, man. I said, but this is what you're going to do. You're going to leave that dude there with your daughter. He's like, nah, man. I said, well, then I'm gone, bro. You trust him enough to be there for me, and you know he shouldn't be there. He said, all right, let me call you back. I said, no. You're not hanging up the phone. I said, get your keys, get in your car, and start driving towards the highway. He's like, all right, all right. And I'm like, get your keys right now and get in your car and go to the highway, and I'll tell you which way to go when you get there. I'm going to be on the phone with you the whole time. So I hear him go out the screen door, hear him drop his keys. I hear him get in the car, and I start talking to him. We calm down a little. I'm like, what you driving? He tells me. So he's on his way, and, 10 minutes later, he gets towards the highway, and he's like, which way you want me to go? And I'm like, go south. I said, now go 5 miles, and when you look up in the sky, look high to the left, and it was a truck stop. And the big sign was up there. I said, you see that? So I'm in the middle of the trucks, and I'm looking at the highway. I'm looking for this car, so I see him get off, So he gets off. He's like, I'm about to run out of gas. I said, don't worry, man. I said, I'm so close I could spit on you, bro. So he pulls up. He actually starts sputtering coming into the pilot's the station, right?
Right.
So I said, pull behind that gray minivan, take out the pump, and put it in your car. I'd already prepaid $25 for him. And the girl that was walking out, I'm like, she's got a pack of cigarettes for you, the kind you smoke. I said, so he's already flipping out like, what? And then he turns around, he sees me walking. I hang up, I walk up to him, and I hug him like he's my long-lost cousin, bro. I knew I had what I wanted to have from somebody. He was going to do what he needed to do. It is a crazy story, but it's not cool, but I laugh about it now because, he told on me too. So, but I became close to him and his wife and their kids. When I went up there to do my thing, I didn't just drive. I stayed. We cooked out steaks. We had pizza, and every $1, $5, and $10 bill that he had, I took it out and I put it towards the skating fund for his kids. You know what I'm saying? So it's like I never belonged in the meth game because you can't be nice. But I didn't want to be Frank Lucas, bro. I had the connects. I didn't want to hurt people, man. And you got to punish. You got to punish people if you're going to go to that level, And I don't know if I should talk about it exactly. It's all passed around, you know what I'm saying? But I wasn't super big, but I'll tell you this: when I went to the feds, I didn't meet a whole lot of guys that did deal on that level. And like I said, once again, it's not condoning, and I'm not reminiscing about it, man, but I'm saying the federal system is screwed up, brother, because they've got the gun law they passed. Can you have a pistol in this state and it not be branded from another state? Where do you get your Glocks from? Where are they stamped from? Well, you know where they come from.
Yeah.
They come from Austria. They're stamped from Smyrna, Georgia.
Yeah.
So if I got a gun in Ohio that says Smyrna, Georgia, but I bought it in Ohio, I got a gun charge federally because I crossed state lines somewhere with it. So you got all these guys in prison with gun charges that might have had half a gram of crack in a gun. It's a state. It's state. So needless to say, man, let's just say 4 months ran around, and there was $440,000. I was past my 250, and I realized it. And I'm like, you know what? I didn't have fun. I didn't stop and party. I didn't mess with a lot of girls or anything. But this day, I was going to party. I was going to celebrate, right? So I do. I had 9 phones. I cut them all off, and I sent the guy that I replaced the guy that wouldn't say, that my right hand that wouldn't come do it with me, right? So I send him for his first mission, and he gets popped. The first time. When the guy, the story I just told you about, said, please don't ever let anybody else come but you. So he gets popped. I know there's something else I wanted to say about that in there.
Now, was that situation something where he went in your place?
Yes.
So would you have gotten that same pop, or did he do something that...
No, I wouldn't have
drew
got
it?
that same pop.
Okay. So it wasn't a
No.
sting waiting on him.
No.
It was a mistake that he made.
No.
Okay.
When I went to court, and I had to sit there and listen because He crossed the Georgia-South Carolina line and looked nervous, placed both hands on the wheel. The trooper sitting there decided to pull out to make sure he wasn't drinking. Then he didn't use the turn signal. And he was riding suicide, and what that means is, back in the day, I would go internally in my cars. You'd have to really tear the car apart to find the products. This time, I didn't care. I didn't think they were going to catch me, or he would be with me, and I have a 5-gallon cooler and whatever, how many ever birds I had with me. If I got pulled, I'd just ride until he dumped them and they dissolved. Now, yeah, you could still get caught that way, whatever, but I'm saying that's what was going on with me. So, at this time, let's see, what's it called out there? Sugarloaf, the mall. It's that mall, not the Mall of Georgia, but the other one. Anyway, there was a phone place that I bought a lot of phones from, and the guy pulled me over to the side, and he's like, "Man, I don't know what you're doing. It's not my business." He goes, "But would you be interested in investing into one of these kiosks or a storefront in a shopping mall?" So I'm like, "All right, let's talk." So I met him the next morning at IHOP, and we sat down and we talked, and he showed me how 100 bands would have bought me this phone company called AIO. And so I was interested. So I started lining up. I'm like, I'm about to get legit, bro. I'm about to stop selling dope. This is what it's been all about the whole time. I had a number. I knew from my first bid to set a number, or I thought in my mind, if I set a number, I can just get out. So I've done surpassed my number, right? I'm thinking, okay, man, this is prophetic, man. Like, it's a sign. Yeah. I'm going legal. And so he explains to me, and he shows me the paperwork of these guys who paid 100, and then 8 months later they were opening like 6 more stores. Like, it was basically a Metro PCS. It was prepaid phones that were like a year old, and all I needed was a couple of good-looking young salespeople to run my store. Well, let's just say 2 days before I was going to meet the execs, the day I cut my 9 phones off to have myself a little party, the day I sent him on the first run, he gets popped. So when I come out of the hotel, the whole Douglas County's waiting for me.
Oh, he flipped.
He flipped immediately. Homeland Security, immediately.
So this was someone who had a past, had been well vetted, or at least in hindsight you not, but you think, and he flips like that.
He knew better. And I had that talk with him because he got arrested taking some marijuana out to somebody. He was taking some marijuana to a girl that's like my stepdaughter, because I didn't want her buying weed from any old clown out in West Georgia, right? So I start getting these calls. So I answer, and he's like, "Man, I got locked up. You know, probation's going to hold me." So I had a bondsman there at 6 a.m. I got him out before probation hold. So I had this talk with him, bro. If you get popped, just take the hit. I got you. This is the guy who rode with me to Augusta, Georgia, and I might pay him $8,500 just to ride with me and back. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's ridiculous. We might go to Harrah's, and I might give him $5,000 just to gamble here. And then I turn around and give him $3,000 more just to gamble. He never seen that kind of money. You know what I'm saying? He knew that I would take care of him and his kids. He knew that I would have an attorney. He knew that. Period. He knew what I was about to do with the phone company. He was at the meeting with me. He was at the breakfast. So, and I'm not mad about it all. If I seem mad, I'm not mad.
No, you don't seem mad.
Because it's all a part of the plan.
Sure.
So I go through federal holding, and then my guy in South Carolina, his wife, when they bring me up for an arraignment, they're in the holding cells. She's bawling. They done took the kids. I go right down to hey, the girl has nothing to do with it. Oh, the DA. They had separate DAs for all of us. Oh, so you're telling me she didn't know you were coming up there? I'm saying she had nothing to do with it. It's on me. So they get out on bond. Now, I don't know that my right hand, the severity of what he was facing and why he flipped. You know, it's on you, each man, what you do. It doesn't, it's irrelevant now. I've forgiven. And that's part of the story. But they're back there in the back, so I'm turning around every time I go to court, and they're like, oh, we love you. We love you. My attorney's like, stop. Stop talking to him. Stop turning around. I'm not giving him no messages. I'll show you something when we get back. So I get back, I read every statement they had on me, right? My guy got popped. He went on and did a buy bust. I'm reading it. Goes in, does the buy bust. He gets popped with what he has, so that's 3. Then he turns around and tells them where I'm at. That's 4. And then he tells them where a runner is for us. And they've just staked out the area looking for a brand new car. And they just happen to make a traffic stop. And you can read it. It's on Google. And they got him. But it stopped right there. There's 5 of us. And so we go through all of our federal sentencing 9 months later, and they bring him the same time as me. And he's over there ducking and dodging me, trying to not look at me. I'm really not just staring at him. I done made my peace. I done realized that although I dealt kilos, I didn't think about the guy that got the half gram, the quarter gram, and he didn't go get the milk for the baby. He didn't get the Enfamil. He didn't do. Trust me, he made me think about all that. So all the things you're not thinking about you're doing, it's so much greater. There's just it's just the levels that go down and down and down. It's all wrong. It's all the devil, bro. Like, it's just bad. The world is bad in that. It's not like South Park, drugs are bad, but they are. Yeah. They are, bro. Like, addiction's real. Yes. And there's levels of addiction, you know. You know, I knew better than to do heroin, and I knew better than to shoot any kind of drug in my body. There was drugs I stayed away from. That's from my upbringing. Like, how I got to be the black sheep, I don't know. My mom and dad never did a drug in their life. Brother was never into drugs. Where did I learn it? I don't know, man. Movies? I mean, really, movies, man. For real. Yeah. And then, of course, with me, it started out with weed. Like, I didn't want to pay for it, so sure, I'm just going to sell this so I can smoke for free. And that's how it all started. So I'm at federal sentencing, and they put us up at the same place at the same time. And for some odd reason, all the U.S. Marshals, they back off. Just weird. They know the situation, so, you know what I'm saying? Like, it's not like they should have been there. They back off, and I look over at him, and I said, man, I forgive you. And he went. First time he could look at me, he's like, man, are you all right? And I'm like, F no, I'm not all right, bro. Right. They about to bam my back out. No, I'm not all right. But I said, I'm not about to go do all this time and hold resentment against you, man. I can't do my time like that. You did what you did. That's fine. I forgive you for it. He was facing life. And he got 8 years for giving 4 of us up. Okay. It's my fault he's there. I brought him in the fold, bro. You know what I'm saying? Every person that got rocked up was my fault. It was my fault. Like I said, you couldn't come to me. I came to you, man. I brought you in. But I also told you it's a catch-22. That's what they call me. It's tattooed on me. Not anymore. I retired that name. But I'm just saying, it's a catch-22. You're damned if you do, damned if you don't. If you do, there's an opportunity we could get messed up real bad. And then if you don't, you're going to miss out on all this money, bro. So now I'm in federal prison. And my wife, to-be, she's involved, she's been married for 20-something years to this guy. And he gets in trouble doing some stuff, and the feds get on him, and they want her to rat on him, and she doesn't. So they give her 90 days. She's supposed to go to a camp, doesn't go, goes to another prison where a girl that I know that's doing like 15 years happens to be there. They end up clicking up. She's kind of looking after her because she'd never been in trouble. She'd never been in prison, and she just wouldn't rat on her husband. This is how dirty the feds are. They wanted her to rat on him. So instead of that, she got 90 days. Well, that's when the miracle happened in my life. Like, that's how we met. Because at that time, during those 90 days, the closeness that they had, that girl started talking about me, and she wanted to get in touch with me and leave a message. So she did. And to me, you know, her doing what she said meant everything. Your word is everything. You know that. So when she did that, and she still doesn't understand, like, not like a sexual turn on, it was a turn on in my mind, you know, like, this girl's cool because she is relaying a message for somebody that couldn't get to me. So then we start talking, and we become close, man. We become friends, and she tells me her situation. After her 90 days, she gets out, and then her ex goes, they make him go do the 2 years, and during that time he cheats, and so she's had it, she's done. So she was just honest with me about it, everything. She's like, she didn't want nothing from him. She didn't split like most couples do and take half of everything. She took nothing. She actually took on a third of a loan that they had consolidated their bills in, and took that upon herself and just got away. And it wasn't, she didn't get away from no physical bull crap or anything like that. She just got away from, you know,
And how long into your stint there was it that y'all met?
6.5 years in,
Okay.
and we've been together 6.5 years now.
Wow.
Yeah, so.
How many married?
Huh?
How many married of that? Wow.
One.
That's cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We got married before we ever even met in person.
We got married a year. I couldn't get her approved because she had they gave her a charge of
Access device fraud.
for access to fraud for us because the credit card that he had in the company, whatever, and they even paid the money back, but they still did that because she wouldn't rat. It's just crazy. The federal system is set up where they don't have to have a job. They don't have to have a job. Trust me, they came at me. They came at me. I played the game with them. Oh, we can do this. We can make things sweet for you. Yeah. I said, can I go home today? They're like, no, no, you're not going. I said, okay. I said, so you're telling me you want me to do something for you for what? Your personal gain, so you can get a promotion, so you can get a collar, and you don't care about human beings because what I'm involved in and you know is real. You don't care about my family? Because, brother, when my guy that was a part of my system didn't call, Mexico was calling me, bro. My phone. And I knew the numbers, but I'm saying that wasn't my position at the time at the very beginning. So it's real. So you don't care about life? They don't care about human life. It's set up to tell, and they have somebody everywhere, and everybody's under investigation. And they got 5 years to get you. 5 years. I just started dealing with this, let's just say this outlet from the West. And I just started dealing with this guy. After I had been down a few years, crazy, I'm locked up with this dude, and he's talking to his cousin, and they start talking about me, and he puts me on the phone, and he's like, it's my dude. He's like, Yeah, they were already investigating me. So I walked into that investigation before they got me. I wasn't going to get away. And this is what killed me when I got locked up. You know, Ma, I was about to go legal with the phone company, which Cricket has bought now, which I could have merged with Cricket or sold my business for profit, which is irrelevant. But I'm just saying, in my holding on to stuff in the past, that's what I'm thinking. My mother said, Scott, God was never going to let you be successful with that dirty money. Man, that hurt me so bad. It pissed me off, man. But she was right. She's right, man. Like, he's got a plan for every one of us. And we're all screwed up from the beginning.
Yeah.
You know, but Satan's a deceiver, because in the garden, Adam and Eve had everything at their fingertips, their eyeball. They needed nothing. And Satan came in and said, well, look at here. God said you couldn't have this one thing. You got a million things, but you can't have one thing. And that's what he does. And he tempts us all, man. And so let me go to federal prison. So, pandemic sets in. I'm at FCI Manchester in Kentucky.
What level?
That's a medium level security. At the time, it's federal system set up on a point system. So you're trying to get as low as you can. You're trying to get away from the mediums and the penitentiaries. You're trying to get down to a low or a camp. To do that, you have to get down to 14 points to get out of a medium. 14 to 10, 15 to 11, 14 to 10, whatever, one of the two. And so I'm sitting at 18 points. Pandemic sets in. I'm in the room with this guy. He made it from the penitentiary. His points dropped, so he made it to an FCI. And that was where he wanted to be, considering he was at the penitentiary. Being the United States Penitentiary is the worst place you can be in any prison. In the United States, that is. So, that being said, we're in this room for 9 months together. We're not getting out. For 4 or 5 months, we're waiting at the top of this mountain for COVID to show up. We know it's coming. We know the guards are going to bring it in. You couldn't stop it. And everybody don't know how serious it is, so what they did with us is they locked us down 24 hours a day. So for 9 months, we're locked down 24 hours a day. We're not getting out of our cell. And we're eating bologna sandwiches every night. Like, it was terrible, you know. And my cellie, I got to be careful what I'm talking about. I have an attorney on this situation, so let's just say he falls out on me. And I am not a paramedic. He's my friend. I'm freaking out. Let's go back about a week before this. They call him out. And no one's getting out of their room. And he's like, oh man, this can't be good. This can't be good. He's right. It couldn't be good. He comes back about maybe 45 minutes later. They shut him in the cell, and he looks at me, and he just starts bawling. They killed her. They killed her, bro. I'm like, bro, what happened? He's like, my baby girl, man. They killed her, man. And I'm like, bro, just calm down. So I sat there and hugged him for 20 minutes until he stopped crying. And she was 19 on the back of a motorcycle with like a 40-year-old. No business being with the dude. And he's showing out, comes around the corner, loses it, kills them both. His sister with his nephew, which is like Kyler's age, like 5 at the time, is getting dropped off at 1:30 in the morning, telling him to run up to the house, some random house that they know, knocking on the door till the door opens. As soon as the door's open, her and her boyfriend are hauling butt to go do heroin. His mama catches COVID. It's all going bad. His wife sends him a letter. She got locked up at the same time as him. She's divorcing him. Bad all the way around for him. We had talked numerous times. He had accepted Jesus into his life. He was a believer. Actually got baptized in a real river. Had a real super good story when he was baptized, magnetized with lights. You know, it was a real thing for him. And so he all of a sudden goes to his locker and he pulls this Bible out. He had a really good study Bible. And he said, "You want this?" I'm like, "No, bro, what's up? Just settle down." He's like, "No." He's like, "F God." Throws the Bible in the corner beside the toilet. "You want it, you get it, man." Of course, I go pick the Bible up and I set it on our table. Well, a week later, he is on the floor. And unresponsive, and I can't find a pulse. And in the federal system, the white boys, which they're called cars, you have your Bloods, your GDs, your BDs, you have Irish Mob, you have Boston White, Independent White. Independent White's the biggest gang out there because it's every state white boy come together. We're not allowed to hit the emergency button for any reason, or there's discipline. Nothing's an emergency. Well, when I couldn't find a pulse, and I yelled to my homeboys next door, "Hey man, my homie's not, he may not be breathing." They're like, "Well, do you know CPR?" I don't. But I know to find the solar plex, in my mind, to find the solar plex, hit that and breathe. And it's blowing his mouth, you know. So I hit the button. After the second time, I can't find a pulse. I hit the button anyway. And I start CPR. In the middle of it, I start thinking, "Oh my God, I don't know what I'm doing. My lips are on another man's lips, man." I couldn't do it, man. After probably 5 reps, 5 sets of it, whatever, I couldn't do it. I'm just hoping somebody shows up. We got one officer that runs the unit, and then it takes however long for them to run down when there's an emergency. So they finally show up, and they pull me out, and they go in and start working on him. And we have officers called SIS, which is like the internal police above the police, and we're sitting there watching, and he's looking at me, and he's like, "Listen, was there anything involved that shouldn't have been involved?" I'm like, "No." He's like, "I'm gonna ask you again. Was there anything involved that shouldn't have been involved?" I'm like, "Absolutely not." "Well, if there was, I'm going to spend my whole career trying to nail your butt."
Mm-hmm.
I'm like, "Man, what's wrong with you, bro?" I'm like, "What's wrong with you, bro? Like, save my homeboy." "Oh, yeah, you want to give me lip? Cuff up." So I get cuffed up, dragged to the shower, thrown in the shower while they're trying to work on him. Take him out, whatever, go to the hospital, take him to the hospital. They take me to the hole. It's called the shoe. So this is a Friday night. Never guessed the date. Never guessed the date I got locked up either. It was the 22nd. I'm catch 22. He dies on the January 22nd. It's the 22. It's crazy. And so they take me to shoe, strip me, give me a piss test. Take pictures of my body all the way. Bro, I didn't do anything wrong. I'm not worried about it. It's Friday night, 7 o'clock. The following day on Saturday, we're supposed to start getting out of our cells for an hour a day. right? So they stay locked down a few days. I'm thinking I'm going to get out in like an hour. I don't get out for 16 months, bro. 17 months, 16, almost a year and a half. I was in a cell, a 6 by 10 cell, for a year before I was let outside. And not moved, but let outside. Every time they moved me, they put me in ambulatory restraints with 5 people around me with shields and treated me like Hannibal Lecter.
So for the folks that don't understand what 6 by 10 is, stretch your arms out just
Yeah.
to show them on there.
Yeah.
That's 6 foot.
Right.
Because you're about 6 foot tall, right?
Right.
So tip to tip, that's 6 foot.
Right.
Okay.
Add 4 more feet.
Add 4 more feet. And that's the long part.
And I couldn't take
Right.
3 steps this way, 8 steps this way. And if it wasn't for her, man, she wrote me every day. But they held my mail for me for months, 2 months at a time, kept it from me. I had the warden, the captain, call me murderer. I don't know how much. This is going to be a condensed story because there's legal stuff involved, but FBI finally comes 6 months later, and I don't like the questions they're asking me. Like, they have no idea but what's been said from these people's mouths. And they asked me some pretty serious questions, so I'm like, you know what? Why don't you just give me a polygraph test? Oh, you'll take a polygraph? Absolutely. Abso-effing-lutely, I'll take a polygraph test. What are you waiting on? Takes them 3 months more to get there to give me one. There's some more dirty stuff involved that happened at the beginning from the police involved, which I don't feel like I can talk about. But I pass, of course. And I'm not saying you can pass. I couldn't pass a polygraph. I don't know if you've ever been administered one. I can't pass one because he showed me. He gave me 7 3x5 cards, and he said, you know what? I think he told me to write the number 5 and circle it. So when he asked me, say no to every question. Did you write the number 1? No. Did you write 2? No. 3, 4, 5? No. And I said no like it was nothing to every one of them. But when he turned the computer around and the one that I wrote and circled, bing, bing. He's like, Mr. Powell, you can't lie very well. Good.
Right.
So I passed that, and it still went on for another 8 or 9 months before they finally cleared me. And so, but during that time, man, I told you the only book that I had was the Bible. And boy, did he use me in the shoe. He used me, man. Like, when I told you, he said, you go learn my word. I learned a lot. I read that thing 3 times front to back and studied it every day. And my routine was the same because I'd get up. I'm doing 1,000 push-ups. I'm doing 1,000 sit-ups. I'm doing 1,000 knee raises, 1,000 jumping jacks, 1,000 calf raises. I'm working out 2.5 hours a day just to stay sane. I went in at 231, came out at 160. Like I said, my cheeks still haven't recovered, and I've put on 20 since I got out, so I feel fat now. But it's not a laughing matter, man. But man, this is what happened to me, man.
We know we're supposed to seek him in our private place, in the secret place, and that will be put out there. Well, sometimes we're just forced to go to that place, aren't we? Because that seems like what you were. I mean, you had to go all the way to the shoe. And say what that acronym is just for folks.
Which one?
The shoe.
It's Special Housing Unit.
Okay.
All right. You're right, and it goes back to the verse we were talking about in Hebrews. It says, didn't your father discipline you, your earthly father? Didn't you not respect him? Don't take this chastisement any way, but I love you too. Some of us are so hard-headed that it takes more than one time. Like, you got to get broken, man. because we're so self-centered, arrogant, so far away from humility. We don't understand that humility is a sign of honor, strength, and honor to our Creator. We don't understand that. This one guy, he told me this. He gave me this illustration. He said, Jesse, the Body Ventura, he said, and well, most of us know who that is, a wrestler who became a governor. He said Christianity is for weaklings. In prison, humility is almost a trap. You can't be humble because it's in prison. It's weakness. It's the total opposite. So prison is a sort of hell, for real.
Sure.
You know, and he had to sit me down. He had to break me, bro. He had to break me, or I would never have looked up. So there was this one night he led me to say this. I didn't never come up with nothing. If you know we're a vessel and he uses you, then he uses you. The limit is endless. So it's limitless. So the ceiling is forever. Like you don't know what you can do. That is just. I remember this. I started the first night and I was like, you know what? Everybody listen up, because everybody knew I had been back there. I mean, the whole prison knew I had been back there. But did he do this or did he do that? Nobody knew. Me and you were the only ones in the cell. Nobody knew anything. And the first night I was like, I just want to take 2 minutes. So 23 hours and 58 minutes, y'all can do whatever you want to do. But these 2 minutes, I want to pray for you and your families. So I just started praying out loud through my door. And it got more, 5 minutes. Then it got into verses. It got to 10 minutes, 15, 20. It depends on how powerful the Spirit wanted to be that night. And this one night I said, oh, I don't even have kids. So this is definitely God. You know, he said, he was just speaking through me. And he said, I want all y'all to close your eyes. And I want you to think of your child. Remember the day he was born or she was born. How happy you were because you created life, bro. And you know what real love is because you created life. Now I want you to close your eyes and just continue to think about the first time little man or little girl looked up at you and she reached those arms up to you and said, pick me up and make me safe and love me. That's all God wants from us, man.
Amen.
That's
Man,
it.
that's powerful, brother.
That's all he wants, man. You know? And it's tough because I fall short every day, brother. I might have a good day here and then. I might not sin. I might not get mad. I might not say a bad word. I might not think something I shouldn't think. But man, you just can't give up on it. You've got to keep on keeping on. You got to believe, man. Like, you know, like, look, he brought us together, brother.
Yeah.
And like, this is cool. I appreciate you having me, man. Like,
Oh, brother, honor and the blessing is mine, brother. I mean, I'm telling you, it's just amazing to know that a heart can be softened after no other thing but stuff making it hard.
hardened heart, man.
But that's the power of our Almighty, man.
Yeah. And if he's got a calling on your life, brother, you're going to keep going through so much crap until you get it right, man, you know?
Yeah.
You know, it says pray without ceasing, man. You just got to pray. You got to learn. And like you said, if you don't know how, then that's what the Lord's Prayer is. You don't have to know how to pray. Go in your room, shut the door, and pray the Lord's Prayer because it covers
Yeah.
all bases.
Yeah, he tells you.
He
Read
tells
like
you
this.
that Jesus was tempted in the desert because, Satan came at him at his weakest moment, 40 days with no food. And that's when Satan comes at you, man, when you're down and you're out. I look at it like this. Either Jesus Christ was the craziest dude ever, because he's not nice. He's soft-hearted and he means good and everything, but he gives it to us like no other. You know, Isaiah 40:31, it says, if you put all your faith and trust in God, then he'll mount you on the wings of an eagle so you can soar through this life. Now, here's the beautiful part about that verse. He'll mount you on the wings of an eagle. Now, that was wrote like 1,000, 800,000, 1,200 years before Christ came. They weren't doing numerology back then, bro. A full-grown eagle is 3 foot tall with a 7-foot wingspan. Do you know what the number 3 and 7 mean? It's perfection and completion. How cool is it if you just do what he says, he'll perfect you and complete you, and he'll get you through this life. It says, Colossians, set your mind on things above, because if you set your mind on things here, you can't see what he's got in store for us, man. Yeah. The temple veil did not rip at the exact moment that he died for any particular reason. You couldn't rip that. 100 men on each side couldn't rip the veil that was in the Holy of Holies in the temple. When Jesus raised from the dead and they went in the tomb and his face cloth was folded up, do you know what that meant in Jewish custom? It meant that if we were having a feast and they had big feast, we weren't just rude and said something. We folded our towel up, our face cloth, and we got up, and that let the table know that we were coming back. When Jesus walked on the beach and Peter and them were fishing, and they couldn't catch a fish, and he said, throw your net over there, and they pulled it out, and it says they shook extra fish out, but when they got the fish over to the land, they counted on them. There was 153 fish. Do you not know that at that time in the world there was 153 different languages? Do you know that every archaeological fact and dig that they have found has matched up with everything that lines up with the Bible, kings, the dates, and all? You can't dispute the greatest love story ever written, bro. You can't. And I'm going to tell you one more, if we close with this or whatever. When God chose the Israelites to bring them out of subjugation, that's the point of the Bible. He used one man. And one man for us is Jesus Christ. We look at him and we fix our eyes on him. He used Moses to bring them out of slavery, because that's what we're trapped in. Our flesh is slavery. But he made the Israelites, the males, on the 8th day to be circumcised. Now, we found out in medical field, and I'm not sure what date it was, 60s or 70s, that on the 8th day, I just said they had to be circumcised. On the 8th day, it is the highest blood clotting of a boy's life, of a man's life, that it will ever be. It's the most opportune time to cut on an individual, because it will heal faster than any other time on the 8th day. Stuff, if you just get into it, man. Job says the earth suspendeth upon nothing. Nobody knew back in the day. People thought that the earth sat on the back of a giant tortoise. People were nuts. They didn't know what to think. We're in the middle of space, man. We haven't found life out there. Everything is so perfect for us, man. We have night, we have day. And there's another last thing is, what penetrates darkness? What's the only thing that penetrates darkness? Light. The light, man. Yesterday, my devotion was on the Spirit, the Holy Spirit, and that's our helper within us. And you have to believe God, Jesus, and the Holy Spirit. You know what I'm saying? God made the plan. Jesus was the sacrificial lamb. Here's something other crazy that I found out. They did, when they inject the venom or whatever into certain animals, right? This is going to blow your mind, bro. I'll give you 2 guesses of what the top 2 animals that produce the most back antibodies. If you they tested like venom and sicknesses, and antibodies come back. Guess what? 2 animals come back the best: a sheep and a lamb. We're the sheep.
Oh.
Jesus was the lamb.
Wow.
It doesn't stop there, bro. It doesn't stop. The Dead Sea Scrolls weren't found there just for, it was there for us doubters. All these prophecies, and there's over 1,000 that have been fulfilled, are us for our doubters. And I've been trying to do this and do the devotion and stay strong, man. And the devil's been at me more the last couple of days than ever, bro. Like he doesn't stop. This is his world. He doesn't stop, man. And so when you get right, just prepare for battle, man.
Absolutely.
Prepare for battle. Like, you know, people are like, I don't want to go to church. I get that. Because us humans are going to find a way, well, this person is a hypocrite. This person is judgmental. Well, you know what? If you got your eyes on the prize, you don't even see them people.
Yeah.
And then he's going to bring the people to you. It's about, even if you take the Knights of the Round Table, you think that they were successful because why? Because they had the same like mind, man. They were focused on the same thing. A church is a body, bro. You know what I'm saying? Like, my wife is my church. A couple of my friends, you're my church, brother. We're our church. You don't have to go to church. Watch it on Sunday morning. There's pastors out there to give it to you. Yeah. I mean, you know what I'm saying? But like you said earlier, I'm a baby. That's why he says, always be like the baby, because you're innocent. But you also got to get fed the spiritual milk and bread like a baby, because the Bible's thick, brother.
Yeah.
It's thick.
Yeah.
It's thick, man.
One of the few sermons that I really keep with me was from the church that I had referred to earlier. Kind of left there on a weird note, but one of my favorite sermons was he preached on the baby table, the kids table, and the king's table. And that's how I make that reference, is that, you know, when we first become Christians or first come back, and I make the joke, I've been a Christian. Well, I said I've been a Mason, I've been a biker, and I've been a Christian 3 times. You know, and that's not fun to make about, but that's the way my life has been. But when we come back, or when we're new, you know, we can't understand what Adam and Eve was all about. All we hear is a creation story. We don't understand that the first sin was committed, and was it Genesis 2:6 or Genesis 3:6 when she took that, took the bite. So we're still at the kids' table, but what do babies do? They have no control over what they want to do. They're going to sit there and they're going to take the milk or whatever mama feeds it, right? And that's going to be. Then you get to that kids' table, and no matter what mama puts down in front of them, they're going to be up and walking around over there, and I don't want this, you know. But when we get that time, and when we've gone through the baby and we've gotten to the kid table, and we actually get to sit at the king's table, at the adult table, and just sit there and just listen to whatever is poured out, we're receiving. And that goes back to the eyes on it, the eyes on the prize, because you can sit there and you can hear it, and you can even live it. But if you're not keeping there on the focus or on the target, you can't hit that target, you know.
If you're lucky enough to live a long life, you come out pooping in a diaper, and you leave pooping in a diaper, and you're innocent, She showed me a video of this precious old lady, just innocent, even in her 80s. It's a design. It's designed that way, man. But we forget that one day is like 1,000 years to God. That's how patient he is, because he wants to give each one of us an opportunity to get right. We got to get right, bro. We got to get right. We need each other's help to stay right, man. We'll schedule part 2, brother.
Yeah. Well, tell the folks one more time where they can find you and your beautiful wife.
At the Scott Powells on TikTok. Soon to be YouTube. We'll probably try to get the same name. Our friend's going to help us here with YouTube.
Absolutely.
Absolutely, man. I had fun with you, brother.
Thank you, brother.